Alright guys, welcome back to the channel. And for those of you tuning in for the first time to this channel, I talk about the cargo van business, more specifically over-the-road cargo van business. And if you're not sure what over-the-road is, that's being gone for multiple days or weeks at a time from home. I do have some information on the local regional stuff, which is more around the gig apps or courier companies or last mile deliveries. So if any of those things are something you're looking for information for, this is the right channel. And with that, let's get into it.
Your hustle got to be strong in this industry, as in any other industry.
A little bit of an update. I'm out on the road, as you can see. I'm in the van. I'm currently sitting in Alabama. I've got a load that I pick up in the morning out of Anniston going over to Temple, Texas, 775 miles or something. This week has been kind of slow, and there's loads out there, and the reason it's been so slow is I've been very, very selective on what I want to take. Whenever weeks like this hit, I should just kind of just go with the flow and try to grind out and just go via volume as opposed to profit. Obviously, we all want to make profit, but what I mean by that is some weeks are good where you can get the right loads to line up that's got a large profit margin. Then there's weeks where the rates are just really tight, meaning cheap, or as some brokers like to call it, the rates are competitive. This was just one of those weeks where everything was kind of tight. So I have been purposely avoiding Texas. This one pays really well. That's why I'm going to Texas, and it's for a broker that gives me a lot of business. So I try and cover as much of his stuff as I can because I want him to keep coming back. Other than that, I don't remember the last time I've been in Texas. I rarely send my driver there. I try and keep it, just within certain area where this broker has loads and where the rates are pretty solid. Get those medium to short loads. A lot of times I don't even see or bid. I shouldn't say I don't see, but I don't bid very often on loads that's basically 800 miles or better, unless it's just the right location that I know that I can bid and try to get my rate. Other than that, man, I don't mess with it because some of you guys are out there taking those rates for 1,000 miles plus or 800 miles plus. It's like, as I said before, I've mentioned it before, you get about 700-800 miles and you start going up, the rate seems to come down. And that's because guys are trying to go after that bulk of money at one time and not thinking as much about their profit margin, and they're also not thinking as much about the wear and tear on their vehicle, what this is going to do in the future to their pocketbook and their van. And when I'm talking rates, I'm talking about anybody that's got their authority bidding off of load boards. I understand that many of you that watch these videos and come to my channel, you guys are working under a carrier. So when I talk about making, bidding under $1, under $1.20, that's to the guys that have their own authority and they're bidding directly with brokers. Guys that are with carriers, the norm is going to be anywhere from 80 cents to $1. So again, just understand when I'm talking about these rates, I'm not talking to those of you that are working under a carrier. I'm talking to the ones that have their authority bidding on the load boards or going directly with brokers. There's many of them that are out there taking this stuff super, super cheap. I've got a couple of screenshots. If I remember when I'm editing this, I'll put them on there. But I see loads out there, 1,500, 1,600 miles, and the broker's posting it, wanting it covered for like 1,200 or 1,300. That is crazy. That's the rate that should be going to, say, an owner-op that's working under a carrier. That in no way, shape, or form should be what the rate is for a carrier getting it from the broker. That is absolutely insane. Seen a load just today or yesterday, I think it was. It was 186 miles, and they had it posted to where they want to try and cover it for $186. I mean, it's just crazy, man. It's absolutely crazy. And any of you guys that have your own authority, if you're not sure how to bid, I mean, guys, hit me up. I'll do my best to try and hook up with you guys, talk with you guys about this. There isn't no set like rate scale. It's just through experience and talking with people and just understanding things. You try and figure that right spot where you want to be. And I've talked about it before. I'm figuring, about that $1.25 or better is where you're trying to be. If you're dealing with a broker, that's where you're trying to be there. You're not going to be there hardly ever, trust me. But that's where I ideally try and see things. Now again, everything kind of varies once you take into consideration where you are, what time of day, what's going on. There's so many things that you take into consideration when you bid a load. But bottom line is, these loads have to be covered, and they should never go that cheap. In my opinion, the load should never, ever get accepted for under $1. They should never. I don't care where you are. If everybody stuck to that, nobody would ever have a problem getting $1. That's just that. I'm not going to get too much into talking about rates too deep, so I'll just leave it at that for the time being. Now, for the guys that are watching this video that are looking for ways to get into the industry, now, if you're looking to do over-the-road expediting, and if you've never done it before, my advice, the best advice anybody can give you, and I don't feel like you should deviate from that too much. If you have no experience in the industry, you should 100% go drive for a fleet owner. Drive for, I don't care if it's only 3 months, 6 months, whatever it is. Drive for a fleet owner long enough to understand what being over the road is about. Because no matter how much I explain it or anybody else, you're still not going to get the full understanding of what it is to be over the road and what it takes to thrive at being over the road. A lot of people, again, I think a lot of people mistakenly believe that over the road is easy, just a little bit of driving. They like driving on Sunday. They like driving their car. But this is a lot of driving. You drive to the point that driving on some days isn't fun no more. It isn't enjoyable no more. It's now becoming work because you might be tired, or it's just bad weather, or whatever it may be. So please get that experience before you make any kind of investment into buying a van or anything like that. I'd highly suggest that. Those of you looking to do the local or regional thing, I would still try to find somebody to drive for, but doing the local stuff, I'd say the biggest thing that comes to mind when I think about anybody looking to get into the local stuff is try to get an idea of what you need to make from doing local stuff. Okay? I think doing the local stuff, if you're wanting to have the freedom, and that's the biggest thing. Most people get into the cargo van or transportation in general. Most people get into it for the freedom, for the getting out of the 9 to 5, the monotonous, 9 to 5, 5 days a week, set hours, all that good stuff, no boss over their shoulder. That's what a lot of people get into the transportation industry for, is to escape those things. And so when it comes to the local stuff, and again, I've never done local stuff. I watch people's channels. I talk to people. So this is where I'm basing my information out of. And from what I see, if you really want to make the most money out of it, you're going to end up having routes that you are going to be responsible for on a daily basis. That's where you're going to get the most money is on those contracts. That means you're going to be responsible for covering that every single day that route runs. Now, for mine, that's not something I want to do. I don't want to have that type of responsibility where it's a set schedule. That's what I came to do this for. Is what part of why I love what I do is to get away from that. Now, so if you're trying to make a ton of money, that's probably what you're going to have to do in order to make the amount of money you're trying to make, if it's a lot of money you're trying to make. If your required income is lower than that, then I think the local regional stuff is great for, say, an additional income or a part-time gig or a side hustle. I think those are really good for that because there's plenty of apps. Not to say that these apps don't pay well at times, but from the most part, what I see is these apps pay very low pay, but it's money. Say you have a few off hours, a couple of days a week that you have available. You want to make a few extra bucks, and you don't want to do DoorDash or Uber or Lyft or something, and you have a van and you want to put your van to work. There's several good channels out there for the local stuff. Tony Ruiz, I see his stuff. He seems pretty solid. I'm trying to think of some guys. I didn't think that I was going to be mentioning channels. I think one is like Independent Contractor. But there's a couple of local channels that do local stuff, and they have some good information. In the description, I'm going to list all of the gig apps and websites that I've come across over time that's for the local regional stuff. And mentioning apps, any of you looking to do over the road, please steer clear of those apps, man. Those apps are just absolute garbage. The rates are going to be trash for the most part. And the biggest part about it is that these apps have so many people signing up for them, and I'm sure many of you that even have them right now, you probably have more than one app. And when you get these load offers, you're getting them on all of the apps that you're using for the most part. Which means when you throw these bids in, some people are thinking, oh, the more people I got bidding, the better. No, not necessarily, because if they're all competing for the same load, somebody's going to try and go a little bit lower just to get that load. So you might be lowballing yourself. You might have app A, you bid 500, app B 500, all of them you bid 500, and one of them come back and say, hey man, if we do 475, we can get this. You just underbid yourself. The other thing is that these apps, brokers are starting to get to where they are basically hiding or disregarding. They're basically ignoring these apps when they bid. Because the apps are getting such a bad name and having so many horrible things. I mean, these brokers are getting just hammered with offers on these loads because of these apps, the way it's set up to just cycle so easily and so quickly. So the bottom line with the apps are just starting to get a really bad name. So be mindful of that when you're signing up for them. I highly recommend, being exclusive with a carrier. Just try to find as much information out as you can about a carrier. And bottom line is, for mine, I've always said, and I believe that I could get on with just about any carrier and I can make it work. I can at least make it work and be profitable until I find something better if I'm that unhappy with that particular carrier. So I say that to say, you have a lot of people that go out there and just they fail miserably, and everybody wants to blame it on the dispatcher, the broker, the carrier themselves, when in actuality it's usually the driver. The driver doesn't recognize how many things they're doing to prevent themselves from making money, whether it be they need scheduled sleep, they don't like to run to this part of the map, or just whatever. There's just so many different things that drivers want that prevents them from running more often. And the more difficult you are as a driver to deal with, guaranteed that you're going to get bumped down the pecking list of importance to the dispatch. That's just the way it is. Same thing with anywhere. You have favorite employees and you have shitty employees. It's the same thing. The same thing happens out here. So just be mindful of that. Think about how you can make everything work to your benefit and what you can do to make the dispatcher's job easier, and the dispatcher is trying to do things to make your life easier. So it's all a hand-in-hand thing. And guys, I know things are tough out there for a lot of people. The economy sucks. Inflation's still very high. Things are still kind of shitty and slow. I mean, you can feel that mood, man. I mean, you can feel it within the industry, the community of drivers. Like, you can just feel like it's quiet. It's never been this quiet. And that is, a lot of people are not running very well. They're not making money. Most people just aren't as happy. Some of the people that are doing well, they're staying quiet because they want to hold on to what they got. Others are quiet just because they're depressed and they're having a hard time of it. It's very quiet. And one thing, there is no blueprint. There is no easy answer to help anybody do better at this, or to get out of the rut they're in. Now granted, like, it's a case by case. Maybe you and the carrier don't match up well. Maybe your area you're staying, maybe the van you got, maybe the restrictions you have. There's all kinds of different things. So hit me up. My email's in the description. Hit me up, and we'll try to get together if you feel like you need some advice on trying to do a little better. And with that though, if I talk to you, please don't bullshit me. Like that's one of the most frustrating things. I get people that reach out to me and they want advice. That's why they're reaching out, obviously. Some people might reach out just say, hey, just want to say hey and appreciate things you've done, blah, blah, blah. That's great. But for the people that are reaching out and asking me questions on, this carrier, that carrier, how to do bids, how to this, how to that, they're looking for advice. So when I turn around and I ask you about how many miles are you getting, what's your rate per mile on your loaded miles, what's your cost per mile, how many miles are you averaging, how often are you staying in service? Don't bullshit them numbers. Don't give me I'm doing about. Know what you're doing. Know your numbers when you talk to me, and don't lie about them, because again, people will talk to me, they'll flub their numbers, and by all accounts, everything they're telling me, you're doing great. Shit, I should be calling you for advice. They're making all this great money, they're running millions of miles, and everything's great. Well, why did you call me? You know what I mean? So don't be afraid to talk to me. I'm not going to judge you. I'm not going to give you shit. I'm not going to talk shit about you. I'm genuinely going to try and help you. And who knows, somebody might be reaching out that can help me. Again, I'm not beyond, asking for help or looking for advice. I've talked to a couple of people that I've asked for advice from, or they've offered their advice, and I've looked into it. So this is a mutual thing. I'm just trying to help people, and I'm doing this for free. All right, with that said, I'm going to cut this at that. I know I rambled a lot. This video wasn't really a single topic, but I just wanted to check in with you guys and kind of give you an update, because, again, I've been wanting to do a video for quite a while. I hate when I don't do videos, but, just the vibe of things has gotten really bad, and I just felt like I needed to do a video and get this out there, guys. Overall, just any of you guys that are in the industry, again, if you have problems, reach out, man. I'll do my best to help you, man. I'll do everything I can to try and advise you, help you, see what's going on with your situation. I mean, I'll even tell you the truth if it's just it's not worth it, or what you're doing or whatnot. I'll give you my honest opinion on things. I'm not in this to try to, brighten your day just to make you feel good. I'm in this to actually really genuinely help you. So get in touch with me and we'll see what we can do. So with that, everybody, good night and goodbye.
Your hustle got to be strong in this industry, as in any other industry.